Now that we understand all of the tools available to us in our component box, we're going to use those tools and some basic components to build what's called an Omniwheel. This Omniwheel is something that once you have it built, you can leave it constructed in your kit. There's very few opportunities to take it apart, or even reasons to take it apart in this course, unless you have something unique that you want to try to do with just a single wheel, because mainly these things work together. They're meant to be paired up. So what we're going to do is find two of these Omniwheels in our kit. It's a white disc with these black rolly spinners on them. Okay, so rollers. We're going to find two of our tall bronze bushings. Okay, so these axle spacers are 3/8 of an inch long. We don't want the smaller ones that are 1/8 of an inch long. You can see the difference here in the video. Okay, so the short one is not one that we want. We want these longer ones. We're going to root through our box and find one of these adapters. Okay, it's an Omniwheel hub. You'll notice it is circular. It has 4 threaded screw holes on the exterior, and then the central hole is smooth, and that's because it accepts a bushing, okay, for an axle. So you're going to put those down, and then you're going to go through your box, and these can be kind of difficult to find the first time, especially if you're getting a kit from a previous student that didn't put everything away properly. But you're going to look for 4 of these longer button head screws, and I'll put them here in my fingers to show you the difference. These 4 longer head button head screws, you will notice there's a slight color difference in real life. Once you find one, you'll notice that it's a little more brown compared to the other button head screws. And there's also a height difference. Okay, so you can see here on my fingers, there's a height difference between those screws. So you want the long ones. I could only find 3 in the kit that I grabbed for this video. So I'm going to use 3 of them, and then I'm just going to get a regular 1/2-inch screw, okay, with the hex on the top. Not ideal, but it'll work for this video. So what I'm going to do is take my Omniwheel, okay? I'm going to look at it and see that there's 8 screw holes. I only have 4 here, so I'm not screwing everything in together, but there is a pattern here. Okay, so we're going to take this bushing, place it in from the top. Should be flush. Flush meaning if I run my finger left to right over it, I don't really feel it. Okay, so it shouldn't be sticking up. It should be flush. I'm going to flip it over, take my spacer, place it on the back, and then I'm using my thumb here to hold that bushing in, because otherwise it'll fall out when I flip it. And I'm going to use my fingers here, you can see, to rotate that axle spacer. And I'm never going to let these fingers go. I'm always going to hold on here. And I'm going to look at it from the top, the side with the bushing, and I'm going to rotate until the screw holes line up. And I'm going to take one of my long button head screws, place it in from the top, place it in from the top, and then I'm going to use my hex wrench to start tightening that. Okay. And I'm not going to like super tighten it right now. I'm just going to get everything set up, and then I'll go back and tighten everything. I'm then going to take my odd screw, because I don't have a 4th one right now, and I'll just use my hex wrench to tighten that in. But it gives a really good example here. I'm going to see if we can show this on the video. When we look at the hex screw, you can see that the head is a little less in distance for the diameter than this button head screw. And why that's important is if I take my hex wrench from the bottom and I try to push up on that, you'll notice that it clears and doesn't get hooked. Okay, so it can pop out. Okay. The other nice thing about the 2 different screw types is I may have a piece of metal. So maybe I run my axle through a piece of flat metal like this. I may not want that thick screw head to rub up against the metal. Okay, I might need the clearance, so I need to use a shorter screw. And that's why I'm recommending using those button head screws. So I'm going to flip it over. We're going to take our other Omniwheel and line it up. We're then going to take our bushing and put that in through the top, get everything ready. Okay, and once they're all lined up, we're going to rotate our Omniwheels until these black spacers make that V pattern. And then we're going to look back and just slightly rotate left or right to the nearest hole. We do not want our spacers or our rollers to line up together. We want some form of a stagger, so a half stagger or a full stagger, depending on how you can get yours lined up. I'm probably going to go, let's see, can I get it? Right about there. That's what I'm going to go for. So you can see that I have white and black, I have a common point, and I have black and white. Okay, so I'm going to take my screw, place it in from the top. I'm still holding everything together like an ice cream sandwich that I don't want to melt on a summer day. I'm taking my hex key, screwing it in from the top, taking my other bolt, screwing that in from the top, and now I have a fully constructed Omniwheel. Okay, so you'll notice I used the long arm of the hex wrench to just get them started. I'll then switch to the short side, place it in, and just give everything a little finger tight, okay, or finger tightening, about 45 degrees. Okay, that's usually about enough. So if I line it up here, I want to go 45 degrees, so to about where my hex wrench is right now. So I'll take it, and if I hold it here flat on the camera, maybe it'll make it a little bit easier to see, about 45 degrees. That's enough to tighten it. Flip it over, do the same for the other side. Okay, 45 degrees, and then about a half turn with that hex. Okay, that's an Omniwheel. So just quickly to end off the video, why is the Omniwheel important? Well, if I grab an axle, it'll help with this video, and I place it through the axle spacers, the bushings, you'll notice that my Omniwheel can move one direction forward or one direction back, but I can also move it side to side. Okay, so I can move it side to side. It rolls. The spacers on the bottom, because they're staggered, allow it to roll with very little friction. This is useful for a robot because we can put our main drive wheels on the front, and then the back end can have an Omniwheel that'll just spin as the robot turns. So it allows us to power a robot and drive it on 3 wheels instead of 4. Okay, so our Omniwheel again, forward and back, and then we can go left and right. We can roll. Okay, very useful wheel. You'll have 2 of them in your box. Once you have it built, keep it built, please.